Welcome to this week's Aiding Your Game. This week we're going to talk about character creation, why you should build lots of characters, and when you shouldn't. Let's jump into it. Before we get started talking about character creation, go down and hit that subscribe button. Also give us a thumbs up if you enjoy our content. Leave a comment below and let us know what you'd like us to cover in future videos. And if you don't mind the notifications, be sure to hit that bell so you know when we're posting new content for you. Now, with character creation, we're going to focus specifically on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. But to give you some background, having started in Basic and then Expert and going through a number of the editions of Dungeons & Dragons, my process for building characters may be a little different. What you're going to hear today is my opinions and my opinions only. So I'm a big fan of paper and pencil character creation. I do it a lot. However, I also use D&D Beyond for character creation, and I use both tools together and separately. Now, if you're a GM, you may be wondering why you would even consider building characters. If you're a player, you may have already built a lot of characters. Character creation is a great tool to use for driving creativity. As a GM, if you're creating characters, you can utilize those characters for important NPCs, and it gives you opportunity to kind of understand the builds and be able to help your players along with their characters at the table. So it's a great opportunity for you to learn the different spells and kind of see the progression, and be able to plan for how to challenge your players as they continue to rise in level, gaining feats and increasing their attributes and abilities. So character creation is definitely something that you should do as a GM. Now, as a player, just like anything in life, if you're thinking about building a character for Dungeons & Dragons, I highly recommend building multiple characters. The biggest reason is because the more you do it, the more experience you'll get doing it, and you'll be able to hone kind of your skills in building characters that you're going to have a fun time playing. Now, regardless if you're just looking for maximum output and really being able to dominate in your table setting, or if you're looking for more role-playing and storytelling, by doing a lot of character creation, you can start to drive the themes that you're most after through characters that you create. Now, unlike most previous editions, Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition really allows you to create a character that you really want and would enjoy to play. Older editions really narrowed it down that the character that you created was based solely on dice rolls and tables and charts for those rolls. So if you were just watching a show that you really enjoyed and you wanted to build a character like one of the characters out of the show, it could be a number of characters you'd have to build by rolling stats or fudging dice to be able to come up with a character to meet that concept. Now, in some ways, this was great because as you rolled up a character, you didn't know the character. You actually had to create and build and develop that character through play. So as a role player, it was a fantastic experience for you to be able to bring that character to life because you didn't know as much about that character as your GM. So it was great to explore those stories and development together. With Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, you can really start to conceptualize a character and then build your character based on your concepts. So if you wanted to build a character like Batman or based off of a manga or any type of opportunity, you can do that just by following the character progression, whether you're using the Player's Handbook or D&D Beyond. Now, on my back wall, I have 5 steps for quick character generation. For me, it's about creating characters quick and easily, but also very well balanced. Now, in this video, we're going to go ahead and use D&D Beyond, and we're going to take step by step building a character together so that you can see a couple of different ways to build characters, starting with a concept that we initially have and then doing things just to see what we come up with. Again, no way to build a character is wrong. And the more characters you build, the more experience you're going to have to build a character that you're going to enjoy playing at the table. Now, I will start with a caveat and give you some reasons not to build a ton of characters or really focus on characters. Unless you've communicated a lot with the members at your table and your dungeon master, there could be some major problems with just building a character. I always recommend for everybody to wait until they have a session 0 to build the character that they're going to run in a game if they're at a shared table, especially on longer campaigns. Now, this is for a couple of reasons. If you build a character, say, on the concept of Batman, and you want to have a real gritty, heavy-hitting, right-in-the-face melee combat, but it's a more comical campaign, it may not mesh well. And while that could itself be a more comedic opportunity to play that style of character in that campaign setting, it may be more frustrating for everyone at the table and yourself if they're not a fully enveloped piece of that story. So if you have a great concept for a character that you really want to build and play in a game, make sure to communicate with your dungeon master, make sure the concept fits their game world, and that it's not going to be something that you're going to regret in a short amount of time. But with that being said, again, I highly recommend just building lots of characters to gain experience, find things you like and things you don't like, and be able to talk more about character development, character creation, character progression, and character development with your DM. This is going to help you have a more enjoyable time at your game setting. Of course, if you're doing adventure leagues or one-shots, it may not be as applicable. However, make sure to have that strong communication going on so you know what to expect, your GM knows what to expect, and your fellow players at the party know what to expect. So if you have never built a character in Dungeons & Dragons before, or you're looking for just tips and tricks on how I build characters in Dungeons & Dragons, we're going to change the view, focus on our D&D Beyond, and we're going to build a couple of characters so you can see how to do it from start to finish, both with a preconceived concept and just a random character that we're going to build and try to have fun with. Now, I will be taking notes down because, again, I do love pencil and paper. I'll talk about those while we're filming, and you'll be able to kind of follow along and see where I'm putting in some of those notes and then how I use those to build the character and introduce them to the world. All right, using D&D Beyond, we're going to create a character. And you can see I create a lot of characters. And because this is a newer video, we're going to do a standard character. We're going to build this and have it ready to go for Adventure League. And that way we can play it online. Now you can select different sources to use. You'll see some of them will come preloaded. I'm going to turn all of those off. I am going to leave enabling digital dice rolls. I am going to leave it milestone because most of the Adventure League uses milestone. Hit point type, you're going to want to talk to your DM on this, but I'm going to leave it as fixed. That will automatically fix the value for hit points. I am going to use prerequisites. I am going to show the level scaled spells. I am going to use encumbrance. I am going to ignore coin weight. And then for me, I like my scores on top and the modifiers below. That's because I'm old school, but you choose whatever is most helpful for you. And I am going to keep it public so that I can use this for Adventures League. You could fill out your name, but I recommend waiting on that. If you put in the name now, I'll show you why it's more helpful to wait. So that is our first step. The next thing we need to do is choose a race. So this one here, I'm just going to pick something at random. Let's go with an elf. You know what? A lot of people do elves. I'm going to choose something else just to show you how randomized you can be. I am going to choose a fire genasi. And when you choose your race, it's going to give you all the information on that race. Make sure you read through it. It, again, just gives you all the information. Now, if you were able to do an ability score increase or add your dark vision or fire resistance or reach to the blaze, if you need information, you just tap on it and it gives you the details. But we've got our race selected. We're going to be a fire genasi. Now we're going to choose the class that we want to play. So for me, someone who thinks a little bit more, but pretty strong and powerful, but intelligent, I am going to choose, you know what, I'm going to choose a wizard. And again, the pop-up gives you all the information. Now on the next screen, because of the class you chose, it's going to allow you to select anything you need to. You can see here the proficiencies are highlighted, so we get to choose our skills. And the list goes through on what skill you can have proficiency on. Now because I'm a wizard, Arcana is pretty important. And for that second one, I think I'm going to like Insight, just because that could be very helpful while I'm going through an adventure. Now we're going to do our abilities. This is kind of the bones of the class. And because I'm doing Adventure League, I want to use a standard array. That is what you need for Adventures League. So it gives you a number of scores here that you have to assign. There's one for each. Now we know intelligence for a wizard is very important. Because I'm a fire genasi, we get a +1. But that should be my highest because it's the most important for a wizard. And Insight, I already chose, so I want Wisdom to be there. I don't want this to be a typical wizard where he's super weak and not very dexterous. So we're going to add in some strength and dexterity. And then the Constitution is going to be a 10, which is just kind of plain. And we're not very good with our Charisma because we're shy, we're contemplative. So we're going to use Charisma as our lowest, which is a little different. When you scroll down, you're going to see all the scores, what your modifiers are, everything you need. Just so you can look through so that if you want to change and put that Charisma to your 10 and your Dexterity to an 8, you can. However, I like that first selection that I did. Next, we're going to go on to our description. Now here is where if we go through and hit randomize, it's going to give us a name based off of our race. So you can see Kiln, Forge, these are all kind of recommended or common names for fire genasis. If we had chosen an elf, it would be different. Once you choose that race, it's going to help you do that randomized name generator. But of course you can do that on your own. And also with our portrait, it's going to put genasi images up here. And you can see they are a little bit different from air and earth and fire. There aren't a whole lot of choices. But you can upload one as well. I'm just going to select one that is there for a fire genasi, and I'm going to apply it. And now I've got a picture and a name. Now we need to pick our background. And here's where it can be pretty fun, because generally a sage is going to be a strong selection for a wizard. But what if we want to change that up? What if prior to becoming an adventurer, he was a guild artisan? It gives us skill proficiencies and tool proficiencies based on that background we did. And these could be very different from what you commonly expect for a wizard. This can be a fantastic area for you to drive some story arc with your GM if you're choosing things like this. Because this person was in the guild beforehand, we're going to say he's very good at reading people as well. So perception is pretty high. And then what type of a guild was this person in? We're going to say in an cartography. And then we get to choose a language. Here you have choices. Of course, common should be your default, but if you want to have anything else, you choose it here. We're going to choose Gnomish because maybe while he was mapping out a gnome village, he had to speak the language and became interested in the wizarding ways. And then more details if you just click these open. Now, characteristics are something that people often overlook. I recommend going through these and picking them because they will help flesh out your character, giving your DM more meat to play with while you're in the game. And these are based off of the background, so they are suggested. You can change these up at any point in time. And going through this list here, I want to choose, I know the Fire Genasi doesn't like to talk a whole lot, so he's not going to do a lot of haggling. He's contemplative. I believe anything worth doing is worth doing right. I can't help it. I'm a perfectionist. That sounds good. Now, ideals, also just as important. What drives your character? What are their ideals? So also great to have because your GM can use these in-game to help that storytelling and character progression and development based on these background pieces. So super important. Never skip this. I highly recommend making sure you're always using these. Your GM will be very appreciative. So for me, I like that everyone should be free to pursue his or her own livelihood. That's why this character went from being a guild artisan to a wizard. And then bonds. Who do they have a bond with? Now this one here again is great for GMs to be able to build some backstory and do some plot hooks that involve your character and speak to your background. Super important. I always recommend doing this. And for me, what's a good one that could lead to some good character development? You know what? This one's a little different. I pursue wealth to secure someone's love. Maybe that's why this person, after mapping out a gnome village, found opportunity to learn some wizardy ways, was to gain more wealth from adventuring rather than just drawing maps so that he could get his love. And then flaws. Flaws also are very good and great for your GM to have, to be able to put challenges in front of you to help character development. Again, super important. So, let's see. Boy, some of these for the Guild Artisan are pretty challenging when you try to put them in place of a wizard adventurer. I am going to say I'll do anything to get my hands on something rare or priceless, because that's one of the bonds, is trying to get wealth to secure someone's love. Character details, here's where you'll choose your alignment. Now here is something that I tell everybody, start with. So in my personal campaigns, I don't utilize alignment as an ongoing concept, but I want to know when the character starts the game, what are their leanings in life? So for me, this person here used to be a map maker, started learning wizardry, and is now pursuing wealth. I'm going to say chaotic good, because they act as their conscience direct with little regard for what others expect. And then faith, if you choose to have someone who has a faith, so they could be a worshiper of Pelor or whatever faith you're wanting to put in there. Also very important, however, for this character, I am not going to put one, so I am just going to put none. And then lifestyle. Here's where you decide how does your character live at the start of the game. So this person here, I'm going to say they were poor. 2 silver pieces a day they would spend basically for food and lodging. And it gives you all the details. Physical characteristics. So we know this guy is a fire genasi. So we're going to give some orange hair. Oh. Skin is going to be bronzed. Now these, you can put anything you like in here. We're going to give this person yellow eyes. Height. Now there are some guidelines in the race that you can go with, but I'm going to say this person here is 5 foot and 9 inches because that's what I am. And then weight, 175. Age, now we know they're starting at first level. I'm going to put about 20. And then gender, this one I've already decided is a male. Now you can see here in the personal characteristics, those selections we've already done are right here, so we can see them real quick and easy. Notes, here's where you can add in a map guild that they used to belong to. Allies, this is great if you ever want to do anything. So we already decided they have somebody that they're trying to woo over and get some wealth for. So we're going to put Gemma, who is a former lover or girlfriend or let's say childhood crush. The DM would love having these notes. Enemies, what about the guild master? And here is where I would talk with the GM to make sure that everything flows good for the game. But I'm going to put that this guild master Patron. And then backstory. Here is where it's really important to put some information. These are the things that you've already covered. We know they've got a childhood crush. We know that they have a kind of frenemy or enemy in their guild master. We know they're looking for wealth. We know they were a map maker. You're wanting to put that in here in summary for your GM. That is a fantastic tool for your GM to create additional story plot hooks, arcs, and opportunity for character development. Super important. It doesn't have to be a 90-page story. It doesn't have to be a novel. It just has to be a bit of backstory, putting all of those pieces together in just a brief bit so that your GM can see who your character is, why they've taken on an adventuring lifestyle, and then what their motivations and kind of background is so that they can better incorporate them in the story. Super important. If you're not doing this now, do it going forward. Your GM will appreciate it. At this time, I'm not going to add the backstory here just because I think we've got some good bones. We want to keep moving along. And then any other notes you can do. So this one here, I'm going to just put created for example. And let's give this one a 1. Created for example 1. Now at this point here, we can see as we scroll up here, next step is equipment. So here you can choose equipment or gold. I like to choose the equipment. It gives you everything you need to start out with. So for this person here, we're going to do, we know he likes to fight a little bit. He's got some good strength and dexterity, so I'm going to give him a dagger. He likes to get up close and personal a little bit. And then he's going to use a component pouch. So for his spells, he needs components. He'll have to always be buying them, which makes it harder for him to save up the money to woo his childhood crush. And then if you need information, you can click on these and get information. But I'm going to choose for this guy. He's got a little bit of a scholarly background. We're going to choose a scholar's pack. And then we're just going to add that starting equipment. Now to activate it, we go into inventory, and anything that has a button to use for wield or carry, if you're doing anything with armor, is going to be right there. And then we've just built a character. What's next? Here is a little bit different. We need to view our character sheet, and when you view that character sheet, you're going to want to go through, because we know he has some spells, we need to work on the spell levels. So we need to manage the spells. We can see they should have 3 cantrips and 4 prepared spells. So we're going to go through and choose our cantrips up. Now this person here has kind of a nerdy background but likes to get up close and fight. They've got good strength and dexterity. So we're going to do some things that are a little bit close. We're going to do a shocking grasp. We're going to do a true strike, and I'm going to choose blade ward. So those are the cantrips. And then for the prepared spells, the spells known, I am going to choose, let's see, this is where we'll get them a little more magic-y. Charm person. I'm going to use Featherfall. It's always good to have some type of a defensive one. I'm going to use Ice Knife and Mage Armor because I don't wear any armor, so it would be nice to have it. Now I've only got 2 spell slots. Which means I really need to be prepared with what I have prepped up and ready to go. I'm also going to do Burning Hands. And as we have prepared spells, you can see them all right there. And then what we have in our spell book. So once we prepare a spell, we're going to prepare Burning Hands. You have to do this each day. Make sure you're preparing your spells each day. Ice Knife and Mage Armor. Oh. And Featherfall. So there we've got our spells prepared. We know 5 of them. We've got 2 slots to use them. And now our character sheet is complete. There are our features and traits that we chose. And if we were doing this on paper, it would be exactly the same. So there we have our character of Combust. We have completely built this character from start to finish, and we are now ready to go. Here are important information that we need to share with the GM, and Combust is ready to go adventuring. Not too bad. Now I want to change it up and go in and build another character. This time we'll use the same process, but I've already got a character in mind. That last one gave me a little bit of creative juices flowing. So this one here, I am going to go through, and you see I'm moving pretty fast. It's because I'm very familiar because I build a lot of characters. Now this one, we're going to have a Goliath. And you can see nothing highlighted, but if we need information, we can expand those out. Now for the class, our Goliath is going to be a monk. And for a monk's skill, they're going to be pretty acrobatic. They're also going to have a good insight and a musical instrument or artisan tool that they use. We're going to do a drum. And now as we go into abilities, again, because I use these for Adventures League, we're going to use strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma, highest to lowest, just like they're following. And you can adjust these however you like. Now here, as we randomize, we're going to automatically get Goliath names. If we select a picture, we'll automatically get a Goliath picture. In the background, we need to pick one out. Now here's my thought, is this person here, who is a Goliath up in the mountains, came across a old monastery and became a monk and learned Celestial while he was there. So we're giving him a hermit background because it was on a mountain peak. Now you can see the information that everything gives to you for your discovery. Now here for traits, I am utterly serene, even in the face of disaster. A Goliath that's always serene. That's pretty cool. Ideals, I think this person here, so as I was kind of thinking about this Goliath up on a mountain top in a monastery learning things, he is going to learn self-knowledge. Bonds, the people that are going to be closest to him are going to be the most important. But this one here, having a discovery come to light, it could bring ruin to the world. So while they were in the monastery, they came across a great discovery. And what's the flaw? Let's see. I think this person here needs to win arguments. And that could be some great pieces for me to, if the GM allows it, do some in-game arguing with the others at the table and always have to find a way to be right. While I wouldn't recommend it, it could be fun. Now with that one there, I'm thinking this guy here is pretty neutral good. And for faith, we're going to say that monastery was a monastery of Avernus. And then lifestyle is squalid. He is just a poor monk. Physical characteristics, hair is none. Skin is going to be gray. Eyes are going to be white, almost scary with just a little pupil in them. Height, now we know Goliaths are massive. 9 foot tall and 5 inches. Weight, we're going to say 365. Age, he's going to be 23, and then gender, a male. Now, personal characteristics that we've chosen are already there. Notes here. Hope I did not spell that right. Monastery upbringing. This makes me think, instead of Doctor Strange, what if the Hulk went to Kathmandu and learned it? So this is going to be an ally that he trained with. Rodham, who was another monk that helped him train. Enemies. Let's see, who's a enemy to Avernus? Maybe we'll say Ralphie. No, we can't use Ralphie. He was too good. How about Flint? Follower of Orcus. And that could be something that a GM helps with. And backstory, again, I'm going to skip this just for brevity. And other, this is a example 2. So here we have Tiznan. Let's get him his equipment. We're going to give him a simple weapon. And this is going to be a mace. And then we're going to give him an explorer's pack. He had to climb the mountains to get up to the monastic start. We're going to go through and wield his dart and mace. And we're going to view that character sheet. Well, we don't have to pick spells. Here we have our Hulk, if he went and trained with the Great Old One. So there you go, 2 characters that are both very different. One we came up with just on the fly, and one we had inspiration and created from a concept of the Hulk getting trained instead of Doctor Strange. Character creation, just like that. Well, there we go. A couple of characters just created. One of them I had a preconceived concept that I wanted to start with. Another we just built out of scratch and came up with 2 really good, feasible, fun characters that I would love to play at the table. Now, while I don't get as much opportunity to play as I would enjoy, again, I will most likely use these characters at some point in my GMing as important NPCs, or if I get an opportunity to jump into an adventure league or some type of a campaign where I can get in and play a couple of sessions, even if it's just one, I've got some characters ready to go that I already understand and can really easily play at the table. I hope this video has been enjoyable for you. We're going to cover a little bit more player stuff in the next couple of videos, so make sure you're staying tuned. Any questions you may have, make sure to drop them in the comments. I guarantee you an answer. Thanks for checking out that video. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure, if you haven't already, please subscribe. Also, if you don't mind getting the notifications, be sure to hit that bell so you can see when we're posting new content. Give us a thumbs up just so we can help reach new audience members. And leave a comment and let us know what you thought of this video, just so we can help create better content and better react to what you need. Additionally, here's another video we think you may enjoy. And, of course, be sure to hit that subscribe. And, of course, please be sure to let us know, where will your adventures take you?